Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. That is the first thing I ever wrote that outlived me. The world remembers it as the opening of a poem. It was never a poem to me. It was the report of a man who woke one morning in the exact middle of his life and discovered the road was simply gone. Read the words again, slowly. Not my life, our life. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita. I wrote it as ours on purpose, so that 7 centuries later, in a room I could never picture, on a night I would never live to see, you might read it and understand a single thing before we go any further. You did not wander into that wood alone. You know it, this wood. It posts no sign and locks no gate. No one falls in. You drift. One season you are certain of your direction. Then, so gradually, you never catch the moment it happens. The ground stops answering your feet, and you lift your eyes and cannot remember when you last knew where you were going. I was 35 when it closed over me. I had assumed the age for losing oneself was behind me. I was wrong, as I was wrong about almost everything, until the losing itself became my only honest teacher. The world will hand you a marble Dante, poet, genius, father of a tongue. Leave him on his pedestal. Marble cannot write to a living person at night. I want to reach you as the other one, the exile, the condemned, the man his own city sentenced to burn. You cannot weigh a fall unless you first know the height a man fell from. So let me show you what I held. I was a son of Florence, and in my years she was the loud golden heart of the world. Coin and quarrel, paint and pride, all of it packed inside her red walls. I was no spectator. At 24 I rode in her front line at Campaldino, a mounted man close enough to smell the fear coming off the horses. Later I climbed into her government and became one of her 6 priors, trusted to help govern her for a season. Sit with the strangeness. I would one day raise the tallest work in the history of my language upon a woman I scarcely knew, who was never mine, and who was gone before I was old. Because I had learned something the world tries to talk you out of. Love is not possession. The ones who mattered most, I mostly could not keep. The love stayed anyway. It does not require holding to be real. Remember that on the nights you grieve someone the world insists you had no right to grieve. Now the fall. In the year 1301 my city sent me to Rome, on her business, to speak with the Pope. While I was gone, my enemies took Florence, with the Pope's blessing and foreign soldiers in the streets, and quickly, the way these things are always done, they put me on trial without my being there to answer, and accused me of taking bribes in office. It was a lie. But a lie in a powerful mouth does not need to be true. It only needs to be useful. They fined me a sum I refused to pay, because paying would have meant confessing the lie. So they wrote a second sentence, and it was short. If Dante Alighieri ever set foot in Florence again, he was to be seized and burned alive. I was 36, and in one stroke I lost my city, my house, my property, the standing of my name, and the very ground beneath me. I wandered for 19 years. I never saw Florence again. I died in a stranger's town, in Ravenna, where my bones still lie, and the city that condemned me now begs for them back, which is the kind of bitter joke only a long enough life can arrange for you. Years later I wrote the truest line I ever set down about those roads, and I put it in the mouth of a long-dead ancestor. You shall learn how salt is the taste of another man's bread, and how hard a road it is to go down and climb up by another man's stairs. If you have ever eaten at a table that was not yours and felt the small grinding shame of the guest, if you have lain awake counting exactly how far you have fallen, then you already know the salt I mean. Here is what they carve off the statue. Deep into my exile, worn thin, aging, homesick past any word in your language or mine, Florence offered me a way back. There was a condition. I would pay a fine, and then walk through my own city dressed as a pardoned criminal, a candle in my fist, a penitence paper on my head, presenting myself at the altar to confess a guilt that was never mine. I could have gone home. Understand what that sentence cost to read. The one thing I wanted more than breath lay on the far side of a single act of self-betrayal. My streets, my beautiful San Giovanni, the baptistry where I was made a Christian, the chance to die in the place I was born. I said no. I wrote back, and I can still feel the shape of my own words. Is this the glorious road by which Dante is called home, after suffering exile for nearly 15 years? If a way can be found that does not stain my honor, I will take it with no slow steps. But if Florence can be entered by no such road, then I will never enter Florence. Can I not everywhere behold the sun and the stars? Do not mistake me for pride. Pride is only fear wearing armor. What I am telling you is that there is a difference between the home you ache for and the price you are handed for it. Some doors, if you crawl through them on your knees, open only onto a cell narrower than the exile you were fleeing. There are things worse than losing your place in the world. Buying it back with your own truth is one of them. So I stayed lost and honest, and with the one thing they could never seize, my name. Now the part I most need you to carry away. When the wood first closed on me, I did what you are trying to do tonight. I looked up. There was a hill above me, its shoulder already gold with morning sun, and I ran straight for it. 3 beasts came down and drove me back. Understand them, because they are not fable. They live in you as well. First a quick, spotted creature, all restless appetite, that would not let me pass. Behind it a lion, head high, the raw hunger to be above other men. And behind the lion a lean she-wolf, so thin and so starving that no meal on earth could ever fill her. The wanting that is never done wanting. Between the 3 of them, the sunlit hill was closed to me. I could not climb straight up. No one can. Not from the floor of that wood. There was only one road out, and it was the road no sane man chooses. I had to go down through the whole architecture of the dark, level by level, all the way to the frozen floor of it. Over the entrance, I set the line the world still quotes. Abandon all hope, all you who enter here. But no one ever quotes what I did next. I walked through that gate anyway, and down there I learned the one law that cost me a ruined life to understand. Every soul I passed had become the exact shape of the thing it had loved wrongly. That is the whole secret of the place. No one is punished for their sin. They are simply left forever inside it. I will show you one, and you will not forget her. Her name was Francesca. In life she had fallen in love with her husband's brother. They told me it began while the 2 of them sat reading a story together, and the book itself lit the fire. And that day, she said, we read no more. For that love they were killed. And now, in the dark, the 2 of them were bound together on a black wind that never once set them down, carried and carried and carried, exactly as their passion had once carried them, with no ground and no rest, forever. She said one thing to me I have never been able to unhear. Love, which pardons no one loved from loving in return. And I, who had built my whole soul on love, I wept, and I fell down among the dead like a dead man falls. Do you see it? The wind was not sent to torment her from outside. The wind was her. We do not get dragged to some far-off punishment. We become the thing we would not master, and then we live inside it. I went lower, all the way to the bottom, where the great enemy of everything stood frozen to the waist in ice, weeping from 3 faces, his own weeping freezing him fast. There was nowhere left to fall. And there, at the single lowest point of all creation, my guide told me to do the maddest thing of the entire descent, to climb down the body of evil itself. So I did. Hand over hand, down into the very center. And somewhere in the middle, without warning, down became up. The lowest point of the universe was also its hinge. By climbing down through the worst of it, I turned, and for the first time in the whole journey, I was climbing towards something instead of away. What I came out to was not the sunlit hill I had run for at the start. It was a mountain, and the mountain had to be climbed, terrace by terrace, and every terrace still had its weight and its ache. But here is the difference I would attach to your chest if I could, because it is the whole thing. The souls I had left behind in the dark, and the souls now climbing beside me on the mountain, suffered nearly the same pains. The difference was never the amount of the suffering. The difference was its direction. In the dark, the pain led nowhere, because those souls had refused forever to change. On the mountain, the very same pain was carrying every soul upward, and so they climbed it singing, some of them, because each hard step was taking them closer to the light. That is the only line I would ever draw between a hell and a healing. Not whether it hurts, whether it moves. Near the summit ran 2 rivers. One washed away the memory of the wrong a soul had done. The other gave back the memory of every good it had ever managed. And I understood, standing there, that you do not climb toward the light by pretending you never fell. You climb by being washed of the shame of the fall, and then remembering, at last, what was always good in you underneath it, and at the top. Do you remember the girl in crimson? Beatrice was waiting, not with comfort. She met me first with the truth, and made me confess, and made me weep for the years I had wandered, before she would take me one step higher. The love I had lost when she died had not died with her. It had gone ahead of me up the whole mountain, to become the one thing capable of carrying me where reason itself could no longer go. Hold on to that. The people you have lost are not only behind you, some of them are waiting ahead of you on the road, and they are the reason you will keep climbing. So I write to you now, from the far side of that dark wood, because I know precisely where you are standing tonight. You are in the wood. The path is gone. You are 19, or 35, or 60. The wood keeps no calendar, so it makes no difference. And some patient voice has told you this is the whole of your story now. The lostness, the exile, the salt bread of a life you never chose. It is not the whole story. In everything I built, the dark was never the destination. It was the first third of the road. It only feels like the entire world because you are still standing inside it. I will not lie to you the way the cheerful ones lie. I will not tell you the sun is near, or the climb short, or that you will get your Florence back. I never got mine. I died in exile, an old man in a borrowed town, far from the streets that made me. But I will tell you the one thing they could never take, and I would stake my name on it. Every dark has its way out at the very bottom, and the way is never over it, and never around it. It is down, and then through. So do not run for the sunlit hill tonight. You are not ready, and the three beasts already know it. Turn instead, and face the dark you have spent so long circling. Go down into it with a level step. Take a guide if you can find one, a friend, a book, a voice that has walked the road ahead of you. And when you reach the frozen floor, and are certain there is nowhere left to fall, understand that this is not the end. It is the hinge. It is exactly where down turns into up. Then climb, terrace by terrace, stair by borrowed stair. And do not try to reach the light by forgetting you fell. Be washed of the shame, and keep what was good in you, and carry it up. Because I promise you this, in the last words of everything I ever made, you too will come forth, and look up, and see again the stars. They were there the entire time you were lost in the wood. And the same love that moves the sun and the other stars is patient enough to wait for you to lift your head. Lift it, yours, across the abyss, Dante.